5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the Old School, New School podcast. My name is Will Charles Egan. We have
Chris Meekins, welcome.
And our special guest. Longtime friend and resident cool guy, Cameron Gamso.
Cameron Gamso, heck yeah.
Yeah.
Resident cool guy, huh?
Yeah. How long have I known you now?
Honestly, I think you were 10. How old are you?
No, I think I just turned 12. I think.
Why would he ask you a question if he knew the answer, and then he was going
to
embarrass you in front of God and 150 to 200 people?
Yeah, I just wanted to cool because I don't know.
Watch this guy. I'm going to make him look like an
because after this, he has no facts.
You're not 10 in 6th grade. I remember just starting 6th grade.
No, you literally are 10 in 6th grade. You turn 11. You turn
really?
11 in 6th grade.
No, stop it.
Yes. You start 6th grade at 10, you turn 11.
Oh, no.
Yeah, dog.
So I've known you for...
And then it goes 11 to 12 and
over
12
a
to
decade.
No, you're right.
Well,
it's 11 to 12 in first grade.
Where'd you meet him at?
Don't listen to me.
Where'd you meet him at?
I knew it. I met him.
Because we're talking about porn today, so we want to clarify that.
Yeah. By the title of the podcast, I feel like it was pretty obvious.
Yeah.
So I met him when I thought I just turned 12. Maybe I'm just crazy. But
okay.
I had started going, because at this point in my life, I was church hopping for the longest time. Mom was going to all these different places, and she heard about this other church called Bayside Community Church. And there was this location on Bee Ridge Road, which was really close to our house. And I was like, whatever, Mom. I remember the first service, I hated it.
Perfect.
The worship video message was, I thought, quote, satanic. I was like telling my mom I never want to go back here.
I'm not going back.
And she's like, no, you're going back. I'm like,
just clarification, though. I don't think I preached that day, right? Just so we all are on the same
No,
page.
for legal reasons.
So you were the youth pastor?
I was the youth pastor.
Yeah.
You know, a few weeks ago, I know you guys had on my, what's it called? Successor. Jordan
yes.
Yeah.
Breon. Yes.
So Jordan took my job as youth pastor.
That's correct.
Yep. And then it all got better after he showed up.
And then it all was a an upward spiral.
It went somewhere. We're just not sure where it's going.
Only time will tell.
Yeah.
He's a
completely new people now. After I left, I was like the last of the Mohicans or whatever. Now it's all completely, like, you might recognize a couple of the servers there, but other than that, everybody that serves is just like completely new faces. It's cool.
So you left for a reason. Why'd you leave?
Yeah. So
because you were a pastor for how many years?
8.
8 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I was a pastor at Bayside for 8 years.
Nice.
So
for the youth.
For the youths. And then I left 2 years ago. My wife and I started a nonprofit organization called Pure and Free Recovery.
Nice.
Pure and Free?
Pure and Free.
Which is PureAF.
We call it PureAF.
Nice.
And what's awesome is how few people are offended by that, but then the ones that are offended by that are like so offended.
Excuse me?
Oh, dude, it's hilarious.
I thought this was a Christian ministry.
Why are they offended by that?
Well, because AF typically stands for as.
Right. The F word.
You know.
The F bomb. You don't have to drop
I
the
didn't
F
even.
bomb.
Didn't even know.
Doesn't bother him.
Doesn't bother me.
Doesn't
as
bother
Will, you're just old, Meekins.
Yeah, you just don't understand what's going on.
But I mean, this is where I don't know. It was strategic because it's ear catching. I should say it is eye catching as well.
Yeah.
On our merch and stuff. But so yeah.
You have merch?
We do. We had a first round of 2 shirts and a hat.
Sick.
Stickers, and we've come out since with a second round of stickers. We're coming out with a second round of hats and shirts this new year. So in 2024, we'll come out with some new stuff.
Do you have a website?
Yeah, it's getpureaf.com.
That will be in the description.
Love it.
So if you want to check out his PureAF, ministry, counseling service, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, it's nonprofit. We just call it an organization.
Well, if you want to check out his organization, it is in the description below. Or if you're on Spotify, it's above you. So
that's confusing.
That's confusing.
It's very confusing. They'll figure it out.
So let's start off. Okay, so why did you start a ministry like this? I mean, I think it's one of the most needed things in the church today.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
I think the church is nervous about it. They don't know what to do about it. They can preach about it. But you actually did something about it. And again, they're doing something about it. I'm not trying to diminish them. But they don't have the freedom you did. So tell us what happened and why'd you do that?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I was addicted to porn myself, was introduced really young and just got hooked, man. I grew up in a Christian home, so and it's not just because it was a Christian home, but it was just the environment. You know, it was the 90s, late 90s, and so this like heavy Jesus movement. A lot of people weren't talking openly about sex or about sexual struggles. Obviously, internet was starting to come into the home, computers and technology was advancing, so the access went from, you know, the occasional not newspaper, but magazine, occasional video popping around the house to you can jump on your computer / phone and get it within seconds, you know? So as that was all happening, it only took this behavior from just an intrigue at first to a habit. And then that habit eventually just blossomed into an addiction, full-blown addiction. So I was choosing it over much healthier alternatives, right? That went on for years, even as I was a pastor at the church. And that was just, again, it was this thing I was hiding. It was a secret. Married, had kids, still hiding it, had a secret, a lot of secrets. And then in 2016, it all just kind of like broke down for me emotionally. My mental health just went to crap, like absolute garbage. I was feeling suicidal, dealing with suicidality, depression, anxiety, like almost every week was having a major breakdown. You know how you have a breakdown maybe once a year-ish?
Once a year,
You're like, oh, I feel so bad, blah, blah, blah.
Earlier today?
I had one yesterday. Yeah.
Dude, I get it. I had one recently. So I was having them on a weekly. And I just was like, this isn't right. And here I am, a Christian. Here I believe that Jesus has freedom available. I believe that God has you know, all these good things.
You know all the verses. He's a really good preacher.
I could teach it.
I know.
Can preach
and
it.
teach.
But at the end of the day, I didn't feel like I was experiencing it. All of this came to a head October 17th, 2016. And I was already seeing a counselor. And she's like certified sexual addiction therapist. So she works specifically with sex addicts. And, you know, I was expressing all these things to her, and she noticed in me, she's like, hey, you know, you've been trying it a certain way. You've been trying to like, you know, hey, I'm going to add a software to my phone, but I'm also going to be able to take it off whenever I want. I'm going to delete Instagram only to reinstall it an hour later. And then immediately delete it because it's the worst.
Yeah, because that's like a 15-second block.
Right.
Yeah, it
slows
you
15
down.
minute for me.
Yeah, for us youngins, it's 15 seconds because everything's now.
Yeah, I'm like, where is the what?
So she saw this in me and she called it out. She was like,
That's
she just
awesome.
literally called me on all my crap. She's like, listen, dude, you have been doing a very like half-assed version of recovery.
Yeah.
If you want to go all in, now's the time. Try it. And so she kind of gave me this, not ultimatum, my wife gave me an ultimatum for sure, which was like, you get this crap handled or I'm outie.
Hello.
It's kind of interesting how strong so few words from a wife can be.
Oh.
The right words at the right time, dude, that'll straighten you out right
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah. So I started.
Don't hit me.
Yeah. Yeah. I started this recovery process then, and I just celebrated 7 years in recovery last week. Last Tuesday.
Holla.
Yeah. So that is where it all started for me. I walked through this long journey of recovery, healing not only my sexual behavior, but also my mind, my heart, my soul, ultimately.
Yeah.
Had a lot of childhood trauma I needed to work through. I had a lot of current, you know, insecurities and issues, pride, and all these things needed addressing. So,
So what actually did you do for your, I don't want to call it your first step, but what was the first step to getting set free from
yeah, number one,
an addiction?
Yeah.
Porn being this one we're talking about.
Yeah. Number one, and I think this is true of any addiction, is you have to literally come to that place of, holy crap. This is bad.
This is a problem.
This is not just like, oh, I got this bad habit, which is where my mind was at. And then on those days, those early days, it was like, oh no, this is bad. Like, it's like going, hey, I have a cough and a cold versus, hey, I have cancer.
Right.
You know,
Okay.
Something needs to happen.
Yes.
And that shift took place in me as I realized, my counselor helped me too realize this isn't the normal way to live. Like, you don't have to live this way.
Yeah.
This isn't what God has for you. This isn't how other people normally live. So that's number one. You got to recognize, ultimately, it's, you know, that old adage, like, you have to admit you have a problem. And that's where we got to come to. Number one. quick follow up to that is you got to go somewhere for help. You can't figure it out on your own. You'll try, you won't. You know, no offense to you, whoever you are, but you
as an addict, as a alcoholic, porn is a whole different animal. It's different.
It is.
Because it deals with your mind, right?
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
And it's one of those that you can keep a secret, very, very hidden, and very few people, if nobody, will ever know about it. You could keep that on the DL.
And you don't walk up to somebody and say, "Oh, hey, by the way, Will, you got a porn problem?"
Right. Yeah.
People don't say that,
that's
right?
the thing is nobody really talks
But when
about
you're
it.
drunk, falling on your face, and you got a black eye and your nose busted, someone might say,
Hey.
"You might have a drinking problem."
Are you drunk? Yeah.
For sure. So this is why I think it's able to go on for so long. So you talked about it earlier, like in the church realm, this is why it's been such a struggle for the church to address, I believe, because it's elusive. We have pastors lead pastors of huge churches coming forward
Across the nation.
across the world saying, "Hey, I've been sleeping around for 20 years. I've had this porn issue for blah, 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 blah." And good on them for finally, hopefully coming clean and getting healthy and restoring their lives and their marriages. But ultimately, people aren't addressing it, period, because we don't know what to do with it. So we kind of just, you know what, like we'll tap on it, we'll talk about it, and we'll call it lust. Which is, if you sit in church, you'll hear a message about lust, or you'll hear reference to things you shouldn't, like they'll say, things you shouldn't be looking at online, and that'll be the reference point. And then we quickly skirt forward.
Everybody knows what they're talking about. Nobody bats
wants
an
to
eye, and
say
they just
it.
move forward.
Just look. It's like when you're in the bathroom. Just look straight forward. Don't look to the right or left. Women don't know what we're talking about. It's a man thing.
So this is ultimately,
Why do you say those things?
I think what the church struggles with is like, what do we do here? And they don't know what to do, and so they don't do much.
Which is the benefit that it's not the right word, benefit. You're in a great place because you can say it.
Yeah, I get
true.
to.
Nobody's firing you because they hired you to help them.
Yeah.
Well, and this is what's crazy is I sit with a client or I sit with a group of guys that we're leading, or I'll go speak at a church or go do this, whatever it is that we're doing, and we go there. Every once in a blue moon, not often, but every once in a blue moon, somebody will get their feathers ruffled and they'll get frustrated or they'll be offended by whether it's the topic, we shouldn't be talking about this at church, or something like that. Or if it's a one-on-one client and I call something out in them and they don't like that. What's crazy to me, well, and it's not crazy as much as I'm just like, but you asked me to be here.
Right.
Like, you wanted this.
Yeah.
You paid me to be your recovery coach. To call you on your garbage. So let's go there. Now we do it in compassion. We do it in love. It's not abrasive and aggressive, but it's got to be said. And some people love that, and honestly, the people who love it, they thrive in it. They heal, and it's been really a gift to be able to watch people walk it out, like I've been able to walk it out.
Yes.
Some people hate it, and usually it's because they're hiding something.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you have to be very blunt about it. You have to just confront, like, there is no hiding it in the fog. Like, I saw Dr. Jordan Peterson live. I don't know if you know who that is.
Love that guy.
He's awesome. I saw one of his lectures.
You love that guy.
I do love that guy.
Yeah.
I really, that's right up my alley. And I went to see one of his lectures live, and it was talking about one of the chapters in his book, and he had like a new 12 rules for life. The chapter was leave nothing in the fog. And it's crazy because you'd think you go to see a lecture from Jordan Peterson and you're just kind of like starstruck and dazzled by the fact that it's Jordan Peterson. You retain nothing. I actually got a lot out of it because it was a very simple message. And of course he just went on and he used his crazy hand movements as he does. But the idea was you leave nothing in the fog, and you don't avoid issues because those things will eat you up from the inside.
For sure.
So you have to bring it to the light and confront it, because the only way to address the issue is to just be honest and tell the truth about it.
Yeah.
So for an issue like this, do you find that people have an issue with bringing the full truth to the light in like your counseling sessions and things like that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So this is, I always say it like this, like the fact that I am either hiding something, lying about something, or giving a half truth, like using deception, that allows me to keep my addiction alive.
Right.
So part of it says, hey, socially, I'm safe because now I don't have to be ostracized. I don't have to get divorced. I don't have to offend or hurt my spouse or partner.
Right.
And this goes for men and women. There's no, nowadays, the line of sexual struggle between a man or a woman, it's kind of irrelevant now that the line is becoming so blurred. So yeah, this is, if you're out there listening, man or woman, or somewhere in between, that at the end of the day, like, everybody struggles in some fashion, right?
Yeah.
And it's not, you're not crazy, you're not broken, you're not busted. If you're a woman and you struggle sexually, welcome.
It's okay.
Yeah.
It is okay.
Yeah, you're not the only one out there.
Yeah,
Right.
I promise.
Absolutely.
We see you. No.
Yeah.
Not actually,
Not
but
actually.
you know.
No,
Like,
we see a phone. That's what we see.
yeah, well, yeah.
Yeah.
In the high school group, and you would know this too, but even in the 2 or 3 years that you've been gone from the high school group, the world's changed. It's
my
just
gosh.
changing.
Oh, yeah.
Bum, 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 bum.
Yeah.
I mean, and you've been a volunteer there. Do you see a problem with church kids?
Being addicted or
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, and that's the thing is when you say I see a problem, people immediately turn that off because they're like, I don't have a problem, or like that's personally offensive to my being. What do
And you
mean I have
wouldn't
a
be
problem?
talking about my little Johnny.
No, absolutely
No,
not.
not
My
Johnny.
child's perfect,
Yeah.
right?
No, not Johnny.
Not
No,
Johnny.
Johnny's good. No,
Jimmy.
but everybody else.
That
Jimmy.
kid sucks.
That
That
kid's
little piece of shit.
screwed up.
I'm telling you, keep him out of our house. And I want him out of the youth group. You probably had parents tell other. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
But Johnny is an angel.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you had people say like we don't want this discussed with the youths?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so it was, when I was working at a church, it was a matter of, well, we need to go there, but we need to, this is always the terminology used, we need to keep the innocent,
Right.
which I totally understand.
I get it.
Nowadays, looking statistically, the innocent aren't innocent for very long because the average age of exposure now is 9 years old.
Oh my goodness gracious.
So 9 years old is when kids are being exposed to hardcore pornography. Not only is it that they're being exposed to sex or the idea of sex, they're being exposed to the most toxic, unrealistic version of it.
Right.
So yeah, we should keep the innocent while they're in elementary school.
That's scary. That's scary stuff.
There you
I didn't
go.
say
Good
shit.
save.
I see
Good
what you
save.
did
Well,
there.
you
Yeah,
just said it.
that's
Well-
very scary stuff because that scares me.
Well, here's the
Yeah.
thing. Okay, so I've been doing a lot of, now that I'm doing it full time, I'm doing a lot more research on why is sex, or let's go to the next level. Why is lust actually not good for us?
Okay.
We understand the Bible tells us this, and that's great. No offense to the Bible or God, but why though? Like, why actually?
Why is it a problem?
Why
Right.
actually?
Okay.
Right. And so and I'm not the only one. There's so many other people who do research on this, who've done, they have articles written, books written. But ultimately, if you look at like the way that we're designed, we aren't designed for so much sexual toxicity. So now take that in an adult and we can see how unhealthy that would be in any adult, right? Like sexual toxicity in a marriage won't work very well. It disrupts quite a bit. Sexual toxicity, even in the workplace, people are getting fired because they're watching porn instead of working. They're cheating their bosses out of hours.
Right. Hello.
So as an adult, you can go, man, yeah, that sexual toxicity is really unhealthy. Okay, let's put that in a 10-year-old.
Oh my gosh.
Let's put that in a 12-year-old. Let's put that in a 15-year-old who literally is not done developing in the mind yet. They don't have that off switch that adults tend to have, sometimes less than others.
Right.
But there's something called the prefrontal cortex. Prefrontal cortex isn't fully developed till you're 25. Prefrontal cortex is where you have logic and reasoning. Ultimately, like if you're going to have a deep conversation with the Holy Spirit and the Holy Spirit's going to speak to you, it's going to be through the means of your prefrontal. That's not developed till you're 25. So when
I
you're
still
16,
have a ways to go.
Yeah, you're not there yet. It's clear to me.
I knew it.
No, when you're 15, 16 years old and you go, man, porn is calling my name again, or whatever, sex is calling my name, or partying is or drugs or whatever, you lack the ability to put the brakes on and go, wait, is this really the smartest thing? Now, your social and logical reasoning may come in to say, hey, is this right? And you'll sit there and process for about a half a second.
Right.
No, it's not right. Are you going to do it anyway? Yeah,
Yes.
definitely going to
Yeah.
do it. Because you lack the ability. So
Yes.
sexual toxicity, whether it's porn, infidelity, lust, even just in the brain, it's not great for an adult. It's detrimental
Worse
for a
child.
student.
Okay, we're going to go into a counseling session here for
Let's
a
do
minute.
it.
Is that
Now? Oh, boy.
why when I started drinking when I was like 11 years old?
Dang.
So
We're not talking about juice, right?
no,
Not
we're
juicy
talking
juice.
Yeah, no, we're
Not
not
the
the
juicy
juice
juice.
box. And so I just didn't know. So I just didn't have the filter or the ability to stop. I mean, because I would be like, we're going to drink. I mean,
Yes.
And I knew my
Yes.
life was like, I had nothing but trouble my whole youth.
Yeah.
Like people talk about, well, how was your youth? And they, hey, Chris, would you
Well.
come and speak about, dating in 7th grade? You might not want me to do that.
I'm not going to be your guy.
I'm not your guy.
Not the best example.
But I was like,
Yeah.
I didn't understand why I didn't have the switch. Is it what you're saying, the switch or the understanding of what was actually going on, the addiction?
Absolutely. Yeah. So you were
Wow, I've
using.
never heard this before.
Come on, here we go.
We're learning.
Let's go.
We're learning.
You were using at 11. You were using alcohol to help curb the things
pain.
in life. Yeah, pain, or even like to celebrate a win. Right. So we go to. They always say you go to your addiction when you're in pain or when you want to celebrate. Either way, right?
Okay.
So if I'm feeling
Wow.
good or I'm feeling miserable,
Yep.
I go to my addiction.
Yeah.
So at 11, absolutely, you lack the ability to say, hey, this probably isn't smart.
Right.
The other night, my wife and I, we wanted to do a little social study on our kids. So this is really healthy parenting. Here's
kids.
what we did. We were sitting out by the fire. It was a beautiful night, like the one night in Florida. It's beautiful.
Right. Yeah.
Oh my God.
And so we're sitting out by the fire, and the kids are inside. My son's playing on the Switch. My daughter's watching a movie. And she's like, man, it's getting late. We should probably get these kids to bed. It was a weekend, mind you. So we're not terrible parents. We're just not great parents.
Just you're honest.
And she's like, hey, so, we should get them to bed. And I was like, you know what? I want to see how late they'll go. If we don't stop them, how late will they stay up and play video games and watch TV? I just want to know.
Yeah.
And I was like, are you down for that? She's like, yeah, let's go. So we just let it ride.
Yeah.
We sat out there. It was probably 11 o'clock, 11:30 by the time we went inside.
Yeah.
Because we're party animals.
11:30.
Yeah. We're a parent of 3 kids and my wife's pregnant. So 11:30 is
Holy
like
cow.
4 a.m. for the rest of you.
Yes. True.
So anyway, we go inside. It's 11:30. They're still awake. And they just think they're having the time of their lives. Like
Right.
they're loving it.
Mom and Dad are letting us party. Let's go.
That's right. So we go to bed. We're like, all right, good night, guys. Love you. We go to bed. They're still watching stuff. I wake up in the middle of the night to get the baby a bottle. I come out. Their TV's still on. Video game's still on, but they both fell asleep down.
Okay.
The next day, my wife and I are like, that was crazy. They were up till like midnight. This is nuts, blah, blah, blah. The next day, we paid for it. Like this social study bit us in the patukas.
Yeah.
They had the crappiest attitudes. They treated us like garbage.
Yeah.
They were tired. They were exhausted. I thought I was going to be like, I'm going to show them. Watch this lesson. I'm going to... Dude.
Boom.
It blew up in my face.
Stop.
It
For the love
blew
of
up
God.
in my face so bad. But that is just an example. Kids don't have the off switch. They don't.
And so now we're introducing these
Toxic sexual
videos
addictions. Yeah.
and they're
Oh,
seeing
yeah.
it.
And it starts out as intrigue, right? You don't go from not addicted to addicted, right?
Right.
That's not how that
Yeah.
works. It
Yeah.
starts out as intrigue, which is natural in a young kid. But then that intrigue immediately turns into a habit. And then when you form a habit and becomes habitual, and again, you don't have the off switch, addiction is right around the corner.
Let me change the question. So we've got a lot of people that aren't born again Christians that are just like got their toe in the water that's listening.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching.
Welcome.
But and so they're going, how come this isn't really a problem for me? Why is this such a big problem for Christians and it's not, or it doesn't seem like a problem to a non-Christian? Will it become? It doesn't matter whether you believe in anything.
Yeah.
Because there's more to it
Yeah.
than the spiritual side. So someone would say, "Oh, it's your religion. They don't let you do that." But this porn thing, it's a lot more deeper than just your spiritual life.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it would be like saying, well, alcoholism is reserved for Christians.
Right.
Non-Christians don't struggle like that.
Right.
No, like it does not matter whether you're Buddhist, Christian, anything. this is a human struggle.
Right. That's a good word for it.
And that's how we say it. Like, this isn't a man's struggle. This isn't a woman's struggle. It's a human struggle. It's not a teen struggle. A lot of times I get these older folks, no offense, Chris.
Him being 85.
I get these. Oh God, I get these
Listen,
older.
I got the
folks.
nicest phone of all of them. I just want to say that.
Whatever, dude.
Very good, very good.
Cry.
I don't know how to turn that damn thing on. But
He's like, I go to the Apple lessons every week.
Yeah, right. And I learned how to
Chris-
use Safari.
Yeah, Chris is like, Tommy at the Apple store teaches me. No, sorry, we're not. This isn't a roast, but it could be.
It could easily be.
but it's
we
not.
could go that way. All right.
No.
So the older people.
So older people will often talk to me, yeah, man, these kids these days, and da 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 da. And I was like, and I'll pretty open. I'll be like, well, it's not just kids. Actually, statistically, it shows that a lot of porn users are 50, 60, 70 plus.
70 plus?
Yeah, I mean, so progressively as you get older, the porn use goes down.
Right.
However, when I first started my recovery, I joined a fellowship of Sexaholics Anonymous here in my area. I was the youngest guy by 30 years, surrounded by guys in their 60s and 70s.
Wow.
So, yeah, people have there's so many stigmas surrounding this. Well, that's a kid problem. That's a teen problem. When you're young, you're just real horny, and you just got to get over that.
Right.
Get it out of your system is ultimately what people think. That's trash, dude. That is just not true.
Right.
So there's just so many stigmas. I think we could talk days around how many stigmas there are when it comes to sex, porn, and all of this stuff. But stigmas ultimately are what's keeping people in secret, hiding it. Well, I'm the only one. I'm probably the only 16-year-old that struggles.
Right.
Okay.
Oh boy.
I'm probably the only pastor in my church that struggles. I promise you that you're not. I used to think that very, very same thing. You're not. 50% of the pastors at your church are struggling. Oh yeah.
Whoa.
Oh yeah. 65% of the youth pastors in the church are struggling.
Okay.
Okay. So, I mean, it's stigmas are just garbage.
So what are we? Excuse me. What are we going to do?
That's a great question, man.
As
What are we going to do?
people that want, I want people to be better. I want them to be set free. Jesus said, "I came to set the captives free."
Yeah.
I mean, that's his promise. He said he'd do that.
Yeah.
And so I think he uses believers that are like, "Oh, I'm enlightened," to share this newfound freedom they have. But here you got a guy like me. I'm like, I don't like going to him because that's not, I'm addicted to alcohol. I can be addicted to porn or soft porn, which is legal, right? Is soft porn legal?
No, we can get into that. That's a loaded. He's like, let's go down this alley that turns into a highway.
Yeah. Right.
No, yeah. Do you want to go there
So
right now?
yeah, so tell us what soft porn is.
Okay, so traditionally, soft porn would have been that stuff you watch on HBO at like 2 a.m., right? Where you're seeing some nudity, but you're not literally watching somebody stick something in something.
Right.
That's ultimately what soft porn is.
That's the crossing the line.
That's the definition.
Yeah, that's the
something into
clinical.
something,
You can
yeah.
Google it. That's a clinical definition. For
Okay.
sure.
Okay.
It's not. I made that up.
Cameron.
Yeah, Cameron Gamso definition. So what ultimately I ask the question though is, what is your porn? So is that Instagram Reels?
Right.
Is that Pinterest board? Is that
People go to Pinterest boards
I'm giving
for that
people
stuff?
ideas. They're like, oh, I didn't know I could
no.
do that. Is that
Enabling.
on Reddit? I mean, is that OnlyFans? Like, what is your porn?
And so you mean like it doesn't have to be sexual? It could be just I'm addicted to this.
Well, that's definitely
visually
a reality.
That's another whole subject.
That's a whole thing
Yeah.
for sure. But I mean, even in the realm of sexual struggles, it doesn't have to be porn for it to be toxic.
Okay.
So that's the question. What's your porn? If you have an answer, period, it's worth exploring.
Yeah.
Help is worth exploring because something has a grip on you. Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, whatever, dude. Even just taking extra looks at the girl or guy walking by, like that's the kind of stuff that gets us stuck. And then we get stuck up where? In our heads, and we're alone, and so we isolate, and shame cycles come in, and it just perpetuates. It just gets worse by ourselves. So yeah, to answer your loaded question, anything could be porn.
Right.
In the sense that if it's unhealthy, it's not good for you.
It just doesn't have to. The old definition would be you have to see nakedity.
Yeah.
Nakedity.
I like that.
Nakedity. Write that one down.
Yeah.
And so, like, for example, on Facebook, I know I'm old,
dude. You're just
but
burying
there'll
yourself
be
right here.
reels of some sensual thing going on.
Right.
No TNA,
TNA.
But
I love it.
This guy.
I'm not swearing today.
No, yeah, you're good.
You're getting
No
there.
TNA, but there's a movement happening in your spirit, and you can keep on rolling.
Right.
And God has recently. I always say, I don't have a porn problem. Well, yeah, but you're like walking up to the line.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
And putting your toe there, and I'll be like, okay, I got to stop this. This is
Right.
because this is bringing out something in my brain, right?
Yes, and that's the problem. Is it's not the level of explicitness that
Okay,
you're watching.
that's a good answer.
Right?
Yeah.
It's really like, where is your brain going? If you're
Yes.
entering into that space, there's a reason why. And this is the thing too. We got to look at it. We all run towards these things, and Christians call them sins, but in general, they're things, right? We run towards these things for what? And this is really where I try to get with my clients.
Okay.
Why do you go to this thing? Like, what about it? Well, I need to have sex, and my wife doesn't want to have sex, or I'm single, and so that's why I watch porn and masturbate, or that's why I read these novels and masturbate to them or whatever. Okay, but the reality is, sexual desire, natural, normal, totally a valid component.
Sure.
It's not everything though. So what is it that's driving you back to this thing, regardless of how it makes you feel, regardless of how it makes your partner feel?
Right. There was this one previous job, nondescript, I won't say which one, but I remember there was this conversation that came up with, I think pretty much the only believer there, and all of the coworkers there were having this conversation of like, what is actually like losing your virginity? Like, what is the line? And so they were like, well, I don't think that like oral sex is this, but I think that once you have penetrative sex, then that's losing your virginity. And it's like, well, then what about that? And so they're like having this conversation and like trying to draw the line in the sand. And so they, of course, they finally turn to me, the guy that they all know is the one Christian. They're like, what do you think is losing your virginity? And so I could have easily been like, well, I think losing your virginity is this, but it's not this. I could have given them an answer, but I felt that there was something deeper to the conversation. And to go off of what you were saying, it kind of struck me to like kind of flip it a little bit on its head, me being the intellectual that I am. I was like,
big brain.
Right.
Big brain.
It was big brain time. So I flipped my big brain switch and I said, I feel like it's not.
That's why he sits in the middle.
Yeah, that's why it's all about me right now. I get front and center. So I was like, I feel like the question isn't what is losing your virginity. I feel like there's a deeper question that we're trying to ask here, and there's something else beyond what is losing your virginity. Why are we asking this question? It's like, well, for me, I think it's what can I get away with? What is something that I can draw the line so that I can get as close to the line as possible? Like, can I get to the line and reach my arm over but not step over it?
Yeah.
And so I was thinking, maybe it's not about what is losing your virginity. I think the question that we're trying to answer here, guys, is what can I get away with? And they're like, no, of course you would say that he's Christian. I'm like, and I just kind of left it at that. I was like, I define losing your virginity and kind of to the point of like what is porn for some people is it's like if there's a sexual intent, if you're trying to satisfy some sexual desire, whether or not it is the classical definition of porn, I think that it can be. Absolutely. And so for us trying to draw the line, there's a deeper heart problem of what can I get away with?
Yeah.
And you probably want to address that.
Most definitely want
definitely.
to address that. But
Yeah.
that's usually not what gets people in the door, to be honest. When I'm sitting with a client, that's not what got them here. What gets them here is, most often it's I got caught, I got found out.
Right.
My wife or my partner, my husband, my girlfriend, whatever. And then it'll come down to like, at the end of the day, beyond just getting caught, do you want to actually get clean? Like, do you want to get help?
Do you want to get well? That's that verse.
Right. So Jesus is you would think like duh.
Yeah, right.
And it's crazy. I mean, almost 100% of the people I ask that question to, yeah, absolutely I do.
Mm-hmm.
The proof is in the pudding when I see them for about a week or two and then they disappear. Or when, hey, it's maybe time to get rid of the phone. Whoa. Well, hey,
Get rid of the phone.
I do my banking on that phone, and I know I have a laptop.
Not that I can't do that at
and
home
an
on my
iPad
computer.
at home,
Right.
but I do my banking, and it's just so much easier.
Yeah.
So I don't. And I'm like, okay, well, let's backtrack to that question.
Do you want to get well?
Do you want to get well?
How committed are you to this?
So this is as you can imagine, like it's a struggle because I want to help people get to that place, but I can't just shove them into it. All right, you want to get well? Boom, here you go.
Here's 1, 2, 3. It's not the 12. It's not the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous.
It's not.
Although that work.
The step programs are great.
But you still have to you still have to buy the steps. You have to find out what they are.
Even then, even
Buy
with the
into
step
it.
programs, people, they have to be willing to admit, I've got a problem. And then number 2, what is it? They have to be willing to extend a hand and say, I need help.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So that's ultimately, that's kind of what we face.
Right.
Culturally, this is a big conversation. Y'all want to wrap this up in 40 minutes. So we could be here for days, I said. But I think ultimately people in general are finding themselves struggling. On which level? I don't really care.
Yeah.
I don't care if it's a lot or if it's a little or if you think it's a lot or they think it's a lot. Or if you're struggling, you're struggling. I would say get help.
Yeah.
I always used to hear people say, well, I don't know if I have an alcohol problem. And I'd say, well, does alcohol cause you problems?
Yeah.
Yes. Well, then you have an alcohol problem.
Yeah.
If your porn is causing you problems, then you have a porn problem.
Right. If it gets in the way of things,
Yeah,
simple as it may be.
If your sexual behavior causes you issues, period.
You
right?
got issues.
Yeah.
If it's infidelity, if it's flirting, if it's whatever. If you got issues because of those issues, you got issues. It's worth looking at.
And I think every young person, and you probably deal with it all the time, right? With other young...
With porn, right?
Where are we going? Is
Tell us
counseling
about
session
this,
for me?
You probably watch it every day, right? Well,
Sorry, Will's mom. We're not.
Yeah, my mom watches this. You guys know that, right?
No. When you talk to other people your age, you're in that age group. Do they talk about it, or do they? We have napkins just so my
Whoever
wife
put
doesn't-
ice in this is stupid.
She doesn't beat us.
Young people.
But young people, you're involved in this age group that has really been raised in the computer.
Yes.
You've always had a computer. Even you, there was a time when you didn't have a computer in your house, right?
Dude,
Yeah.
Gen Z, that's my people. That's us youngins. I didn't realize this until recently. There's another younger generation now, Gen Alpha. These are like the iPad kids.
Yeah.
So your kids'
My kids,
age.
yeah.
Not calling your kids iPad kids.
no.
But
They are.
They have an iPad.
They don't.
They don't have an iPad.
No, God, no. Thank you.
Correct answer.
Because I'm not a crappy parent.
Sorry.
They
You give them
stay
real
up all
toys.
night. They stay up all night drinking and smoking while me and the wife are in bed making our fourth
They
child.
pass out.
For
Whoa,
real, though.
no. But
We do have a 4th child coming.
that's crazy that you
Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's like, I remember when his first kid was born. I'm like, I'm getting old.
Okay.
No, but Gen
Yes.
Alpha is this generation of iPad kids, and it's like everybody always complains about Gen Z and these stupid kids were raised with technology. It's terrible but I'm even more worried about Gen Alpha who are raised with the iPad. So I was raised still with Windows XP. I remember the dial-up tone. I still remember the and that was how the computer started.
That's how
You
it
did
sounded.
that pretty
It
good.
was
Thank you,
decent.
because
It was not
you
bad.
grew up with it. I told you. Proof's in the pudding.
Not a sound effect, folks. That was real.
That was me.
It was an only child. That's what only
Oh,
child. That's why you
It
have
shows.
4 kids, because it's right.
Because you don't want me. Yeah.
We're at least one of these kids will work out well, or a collective of all 4 of them together will create
least one of
one
them's
decent
good.
human.
Yeah, right. Just
you go.
morph all of their talents together. Yeah, I remember when the computers were about a foot deep.
Yeah.
And so that was very limited technology. It was hard to have access to as much information. But obviously, as I got into middle school, I had iPod and stuff like that. But these kids, with their instant gratification, the Gen Alpha kids are very much marked with this new stimuli, instant gratification. I need more dopamine hits. And so
Yeah.
a lot of the people are worried that when these kids are just thrown in front of an iPad when they want the kid to shut up. And I mean, if this happens, we're not judging or anything, but there are effects. And I am worried of what these younger kids will grow up acting like because of they're being raised with this instant gratification mindset. And so for us youngins, it's like, what can we do to prevent some of this? Do you have the answer, Cameron Gamso?
Oh, yeah.
What are some of the things that we can do to anticipate a problem like that?
Yeah, I definitely have the answer for sure. Yeah.
Well, good.
That'll be 1995.
Yeah, well, weekly, 1995 a week for the answer. No, I really believe that it boils down to a tolerance level. We struggle with tolerance. Now, not like social tolerance, pain tolerance. Okay, so there's a reality that says my emotional tolerance has a limit.
Right.
I can deal with so much stress. Granted, when I was 10, I could only deal with, X amount of stress. Now that I'm an adult, I can deal with like slightly more. Not much, but just a little bit more.
Tiny bit more.
Right. Now, these kids growing up with iPads and TV or screens in general, for one, as an alternative to actual care, like taking care of their issues emotionally or otherwise. But two, as like a form of entertainment. Like we find all of our entertainment via screens, right? Like we watch TV, movies.
Yeah.
Like I said, we bank on there. Like we do it all on the device. Ultimately, what we're teaching is you don't have to have pain tolerance. You don't have to have emotional tolerance because you can use this thing to help curb your pain.
Yeah.
Like you said, the dopamine hits come in and I no longer need to actually deal with these issues. That I think is going to be a problem that we see. You're going to see, we look at this generation, right? The Gen Zers, right? And you say, oh, well,
Zoomers.
They're so entitled. And people said that about millennials as well. Well, just wait. It'll keep happening more and more and more. Because ultimately, we're not teaching people how to be emotionally tolerant. We're not teaching people how to emotionally regulate.
So is that like the same word as like being able to process what's going on in my life without turning to something?
Yes. So you got to think like everything is kind of on a continuum. So everybody experiences anxiety. Every single person.
I'm having anxiety right now.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Every single person experiences anxiety. However, somebody who's diagnosed with the disorder of anxiety is going to live at a higher level on any given day than somebody who doesn't deal with the disorder anxiety.
Right.
So it's a continuum, but somebody like I have been diagnosed with anxiety. So my anxiety lives at a higher level at a normal day. So now when I feel extra anxious, it starts to go up through the roof. But it doesn't mean that some have anxiety and some don't. Some have depression and some don't. Some have struggles and some don't.
Right.
We all have these things, but have I learned well how to handle them? And I think that's ultimately the struggle that we face.
My wife will say she read, again, we refer to Joyce all the time.
Yes, she's the wiser one here.
She's wise. She tells us what to say.
She's the non-present voice.
Yes,
Yeah.
the all-present voice.
I'm glad somebody
But
does
she
that.
says this all the time. She says, thoughts take time.
Oh, man.
And people were like, well, how did you? Well, I kind of sat on my back porch with nothing in my hand, nothing in my eyes, and just thought and spent time doing that.
I've kind of changed my verbiage a little bit from, again, in the Christian circles, we use prayer often as, what are you doing? Well, I'm praying, or you need to be praying. Honestly, I've transitioned my verbiage to meditate. I meditate. I need to meditate on my thoughts, and I need to meditate on God. Meditation is to me, yes, it's the practice of clearing your mind from distraction and this and that, but it's not that you have nothingness going on. It's that you have a focused, intentional processing happening, a peaceful processing, right? We're not talking about problem solving. We're talking about a processing taking place. You're exactly right, man. Well, Joyce is exactly right.
Yeah, of course. And you and we're going to wrap it up with this Tim Jennings book you talked about. It's about your mind. So your mind can fix itself, is what you're saying.
Yeah, totally. So,
Your brain is going to fix your addiction, whether it's porn, whether it's alcohol,
whatever it may be.
You can fix that. There's hope.
Oh, absolutely. So let me just clarify. Your brain can't fix itself, but you can fix it. So willingly, like intentionally, you have to put the work in. And when you invite God in, it's extremely beneficial. So if you try to do addiction recovery without God, good luck. But when you bring God into the picture, it dramatically changes the brain.
Yeah.
And so there's something called neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity is simply the brain's ability to transform literally until the day you die. It continues to change for better or for worse. So in the same way that I've created these habits, I've created these addictions, and these neurocircuits have been connecting for years with porn, I can change that. So that now when I feel stress, instead of thinking about porn, now I think about, man, when can I call Travis? I need to call him. I need to talk it out with this guy.
But it takes work.
Oh my God. I mean, 7 years, like I said, I've been in it 7 years. They say statistically 2 to 5 years of active recovery work is what it takes to become free, quote unquote, free.
Yeah.
Wow.
I've been in it 7 years, and it's not that I'm done. Like, you're not done.
Yeah.
You know, God is still doing work in me. It's crazy.
Yeah. One thing you've always, because you kind of raised me, Dad. No. But one thing that you always
told me. Maybe they'll take his kids away from him now that you said that.
Weirdo.
Great.
Yeah. One thing that you always taught me when I was doing youth ministry is you never arrive. There is no I'm done now. Yeah. Like the wandering in the desert for the Israelites led them to Israel, but there was no all right. Now the story's over. They arrived in Israel and then happily ever after. It's like no, that's where it started.
Yeah.
So for any aspect of life, for me it was different obviously, but for any aspect of life there is no I have arrived, I'm on the world stage and I throw my arms up and then I bow and then I've finished, and then I go in the back and then I die or something. I don't know, you never finish until you're dead.
You're right. I struggle with that, but the same guy that taught you that struggles with that.
Dude, that's how it works.
Well, and it happens, I honestly, I've been sober 44 years.
Wow.
I haven't touched a drop of alcohol in 44 years. My kids come around and my kids drink, and I'm like, maybe I could drink with them because now I'm better. And I'm like, well, I am better.
Yeah.
But do I want what comes with alcohol for me?
Right.
And maybe it wouldn't affect me at all. But maybe it would.
Exactly.
So I'm going to kind of go on, like, I got a pretty good thing going on. I got a pretty good thing going on being sober. So I think I'm going to go ahead with the thing that's actually worked.
And you're talking longevity now, right? Yeah. So somebody who's experienced some sobriety, whether it's from porn or alcohol, otherwise is like, dude, stay in it.
Yes.
Don't let yourself slip back.
Finish well. My pastor used to always say, we want to finish well.
Absolutely.
How do we, so first of all, we've got to ask him to come back.
Oh yeah, this conversation
like
could
crazy.
keep going.
I'd love to come back for sure. I'll bring friends.
But how do we? I'm sorry, I'm lost.
You forget?
You can text me.
No, we had a conversation earlier, and I'm like, okay, it went into my mind.
Who cares?
How do people get a hold of you? I mean, if they want help, they can counsel with you by Zoom or by
so if you're in the we're in the Bradenton area, so if you're in the Sarasota Bradenton area, then we can work in person or through Zoom. So I work only with men, but on our team we also have a woman. Her name's G. She works with all the women who struggle with sexual infidelity stuff or pornography, infidelity, everything in between. So whether you're a man or a woman, you struggle, reach out. We're in the area. If you're out of this area, like Lebanon,
Taiwan.
Yeah, I've got somebody in Taiwan. Yeah, Zoom, easy.
Timbuktu.
Yeah, we'll do Timbuktu.
Holla.
For sure. We don't work with Europe. I'm just kidding. We love Europe.
We hate Europe. No.
Come on. No. So you can connect with us on our website, getpureaf.com. Actually, there's a new here page. It's really, we try to make it really easy. So there's a button right on our homepage. Start your journey here. Click. And then there's a little form you fill out just to get us, we get your information, and then we connect you with the right coach, whether it's myself or G, or if it's a group. We have groups that are going on throughout the year as well. So we got options, but you got to make the first step. Right. You can check out the website, getpureaf.com.
Right.
That's good.
Step one, admit it to ourselves.
Yes, sir.
And
and then get
someone,
help.
then admitted to someone that we,
Get some help.
and he's the guy that you can talk to. He's been a good
Yeah.
friend of mine for the last 15 minutes. And
Yeah.
he was one of the first people that welcomed me in when we moved down here in Florida. And I have
really?
an amazing life. I mean, I said, yeah, hey, can I help with the youth? And he's like, oh, maybe we want to meet you in person. And,
Yeah.
Vet
Yeah.
you first.
No, it's been great knowing you, Jeff.
Yeah,
For
and-
sure.
anything to wrap up there, Will?
No. Well, Jeremy, thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Nobody knows who we're talking about anymore.
No, everything's gone up in the air. But yeah, this has been a great conversation. We're going to love to have you back on once we inevitably do. Again, if you want to reach him, the website will be in the description, whether you're on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Amazon Music if you're weird, or YouTube.
Or ask us in person if you see us. Say,
Yeah.
hey, I need help.
Yeah.
And we'll point you in the right direction.
That's Chris's
No
superpower, is he redirects to people that are experts very well.
I'll hook you
Dude,
up.
networking guru. Let's
Literally.
go.
Literally.
But
Cool.
but if you're having a problem and you know you got a problem,
Yeah,
do.
it's pretty obvious.
and
if
you
just
want to get
self-check.
better, there's help. You can
Yes.
get better.
There is hope, my friend.
Here comes our lawnmower.
It's a good segue.
See you, man.
It's time to be done.
God bless.
Next week, see ya. Boom.
All right.
Alrighty.
Dude,
That was good.
I'm going to continue to speak into the microphone that I have to pee so bad.
So bad.